I think philosophy as a way of life is different from religion as a way of life. It's also different from inherited tradition as a way of life.
In order to live a good life, a person needs to engage in a certain kind of reflection with respect to the intellectual traditions they've inherited. And in order to do that, they need to reflect in a kind of general mode, a mode that is distinctively philosophical.
What's distinctive about philosophy as a way of life is the emphasis on not just learning some knowledge, not just learning some ideas, but actually trying to have this knowledge transform one's life, have an impact on how one lives.
When I think of philosophy as a way of life, I think probably most the word that comes to mind is transformation. So when I think about philosophy classes in general, they're probably all sharing knowledge and building skills. You know, they're focusing on big questions and learning to critique. So I think that all philosophy classes do those things. But I think philosophy as a way of life classes have as a higher goal to provide a transformational experience.
I think philosophy as a way of life is different from religion as a way of life. It's also different from inherited tradition as a way of life, right? Philosophy as a way of life is kind of like trying to maintain a combination between the value of theory and practice. Try to maintain the value of holistic concern of human life in general and the localized communal developments of morality of human individuals. So it has a really interesting, charming angle. It does not need to fall upon any kind of dichotomy between theory and practice, between reason and faith, between private and public, between philosophy and religion, nothing like that. So philosophy as a way of life, that means you combine the value of critical thinking with the devotional practicing. These two values go hand in hand and they enhance each other.
It's important to not only explore those questions, but to actually apply them to how you live your life. That's philosophy as a way of life to me.
To pursue philosophy as a way of life, I think, is to establish a cohesive way of approaching problems, work, your studies, your relationships, your taste in music, art, all of these things. Ideally, I believe if you're truly pursuing philosophy and you're committing your life, you're not just reading, but you're actually engaging with it on a day-to-day basis. That is how you turn philosophy into an actual way of life. This is a living, breathing area of study that should hopefully impact all of us.
So in thinking about philosophy as a way of life, we can start with philosophy as the love of wisdom. I think the way of life, what that adds in is the idea that this wisdom is transformative, that it informs what we should love, how we should love and attach to things, and how we should act and make our decisions in our day-to-day life.
So philosophy as a way of life is an attempt to figure out what's really important in life and to try to achieve some insights into how to bring it about.
Yeah, I think of philosophy as a way of life as a return to sort of the ancient conception of philosophy as a love of wisdom, involving an examined life, aimed at a transformation of the person. So wisdom, I think, is a kind of holistic understanding that ultimately aims at living a good life. So wisdom is ultimately has to be embodied in the living out of that wisdom.